After nearly a year and a half of public outcry, Attorney General Eric Holder was forced to cave in and give up on his dream of trying terrorists in civilian courts. Instead, the 9/11 co-conspirators will now be tried in military tribunals at Guantanamo Bay. Now, Holder reluctantly made that announcement at a press conference yesterday that was dripping with arrogance. Watch this.
And after thoroughly studying the case, it became clear to me that the best venue for prosecution was in federal court. Let me be clear. I stand by that decision today. Members of Congress simply do not have access to the evidence and other information necessary to make prosecution judgments. Let me be clear, and let me be very clear. Our national security demands that we continue to prosecute terrorists in federal courts, and we will do so.
Sounds like one angry, defeated Attorney General of the United States. Here with reaction to the administration's flip-flop, R.J. Sekulow for the American Center for Law and Justice, Fox News legal analyst Tamara Holder. All right, Tamara, let's go to your friend. You voted for Obama. Let's go to President Obama on the campaign trail.
Well, we are going to lead by setting an example for other nations about how we observe civil rights and human rights. We're going to close Guantanamo, which is why we're going to close Guantanamo, which is why I will close Guantanamo, which is why we will close Guantanamo, which is why I will close Guantanamo. And that means closing Guantanamo. We'll close Guantanamo, which is why we should close Guantanamo. And that's why we're going to close Guantanamo.
I could go on for an hour. Tamara?
Sean. First of all, I think that you should give credit where credit is due. It is the right. It is the Republicans. It is the Republicans who wanted Guantanamo shut down, and they did not want anybody. Yes, they did not want anybody tried in New York City. They were afraid that there was going to be a terrorist attack. Let me finish. Let me finish. Eric Holder went through. Jay, I don't laugh at you, and there are reasons why I could. Listen, the evidence was terrible, Sean. They used LSD and heroin to get a coercion out of Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. What Eric Holder did was he sifted through the evidence, and he determined whether or not somebody could be tried on American soil. And now we're going to a military tribunal.
I love you, but listen. Personally, you're wonderful, but I got to tell you something. That is the most convoluted interpretation that I've ever heard. Now, here's the bottom line.
What is convoluted?
Well, because basically they couldn't do what they wanted to do, and they had to finally acknowledge, without acknowledging, that Bush and Cheney were right. Jay?
Right.
Because they used torture to get confessions.
Tamara,
Jay.
Well, I'm Jay. Here, let me make a couple points, Sean. Number one, I'm glad they made the decision they made. I don't like the way they said it. In other words, the fact that Khalid Sheikh Mohammed is now going to be tried in Guantanamo Bay in a military tribunal, which is what is set out in the Geneva Convention on how you handle enemy combatants, is the right decision. I don't like the fact that they said they were forced into this. And let me make 2 points on this, Sean.
You don't like how he said it? I'm sorry.
Excuse me, Sean, let me make 2 points on this very clear. Because I've been a government lawyer, I've been a defense lawyer. You don't know, and I'll give a perfect example on how any case comes out, even when you've looked at the evidence. For instance, the Golani case, which was a terrorist trial in a civilian court, with individuals involved in the East African bombing of the embassy, of the U.S. Embassy. What happened there? 285 counts for the indictment, only one conviction after the trial because the judge made an evidentiary rule under the civilian system of excluding evidence. Now, that particular evidence...
Why?
Excuse me.
Because that witness was
I'm not talking... Tamara, actually, I'm not talking... Tamara, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking... Sean asked me a question. I'm answering Sean's question. So that's number one. Number two, the military justice system, our military justice system, is one of the best military justice systems in the world. And this is not as if a trial's not going to happen, but Khalid Sheikh Mohammed has admitted he did it and is glad he did it. So this is a whole show. They wanted a civilian trial. Excuse me, I'm talking to Sean. They said that Khalid Sheikh Mohammed said that he wanted to use the court system, the civilian trial, to make his point about why America must be brought to its knees once again. So the right decision was made. It comported with international law. Thanks, Sean.
Tamara, why can't you just admit that they flip-flop, that the president didn't have either the principles or the ability to to stand by another campaign promise. And so the reality of governing, as Dick Cheney pointed out in 2009, they would be forced to do this against their judgment because it wasn't possible to do this.
Sean, I will agree with you when it's right. And I believe that Obama, he failed on a campaign promise. Absolutely. He said he's going to close Guantanamo down. But at the end of the day, what did he do? He and Eric Holder made the right decision, the Department of Justice, not Congress, by going through evidence and saying, you know what, that test case, that African bombing test case, that was a failure.
That's not what Eric Holder's saying.
To military tribunals. Now, one more
we just played Eric Holder saying the exact opposite. He actually said here that he stands by his position.
Right.
But of course he does. And I understand that because terrorists should be tried under our laws and our system.
They're
but in this
citizens.
type of situation where there is coercion and there is torture and heroin and LSD and people being forced to stand 18 hours in the water, those things are not going to hold up in court.
The military justice system in the United States is our laws. The military justice system in the United States is our laws. It's adopted by our military, approved by our Congress. These are not laws that come out of the air. These are laws in compliance with international law, including the Geneva Convention. And what we did here, and I think Lindsey Graham said this correct today, evidence from torture is not admissible even in a military justice trial. You know that. You know what the 2009 and 2010... And exactly right. Number two, and I think it's critical here, the military justice systems allows justice to go alongside of national security. You're not going to have that with terrorists in a civilian trial.
This is very hypothetical, but let me ask you a question, Tamara. Let's say you're in a parking lot and you've got your child with you and three guys run up to you, grab your child, you grab one of them, and the child is taken away. Would you not use every means necessary to extract the information from the third guy that you captured to find out where your child is?
Well, I don't know how to answer that question.
Would you be?
I'm sorry,
would you extract?
Wait a minute.
Of course you would.
Would
you take a lighter and burn their hands until they talked?
No,
of course
absolutely
you would.
not, because our system of government you don't get reliable information, Sean, that way.
Oh, I'd get the information I wanted.
You do not get reliable information through torture.
All right.
You don't.
But you know what? It's not about torture. It was about justice, and justice was served tonight.
All right, guys. Good to see you. Let not your heart be troubled.
Thanks, John.
Great American panel next. And tonight on our Great American panel, he's a Fox News contributor, author of God Wants You Happy, From Self-Help to God's Help, which is going to be released on April the 12th. Father Jonathan Morris is here. He was part of the Obama campaign media team. Democratic strategist Steve Murphy. She's an author, actress, Grammy Award-winning artist, has a brand new CD out today. You can see it right there on the screen. And it's I Will Praise You. It's in stores. Rebecca St. James, by the way, congratulations on the new album. And you're getting married and sometime in the future.
In a couple weeks.
And what were you calling him? Cubby?
Yes.
Is that a pet name sort of thing?
Yeah, it rhymes with hubby.
Oh, okay.
So.
And what does he call you?
Darling.
Same thing you call Barack
beautiful,
Obama.
All the above wins.
Same thing you call Barack Obama.
Yeah, kind of, sort of the same. I agree.
Yeah.
All right. Well, look.
I'm starting to feel very uncomfortable. Quite honestly.
Well, you're the one that marries people, Father, not me.
Exactly. I don't feel uncomfortable in the least, quite honestly. But
I know that. All right. By the way, we have the results of our text vote for tonight. And the question was, we asked you what's more important when it comes to the budget battle in D.C. 97% said deeper spending cuts. 3% support Steve, and that's avoid a government shutdown, and 0% are not sure. And thanks to all of you who voted. Look, the country's headed to bankruptcy. That's all there is to it. We can't sustain the path we're on. President Obama was kind of gutless, cowardly, no spine, timid as usual. He didn't present a budget with any real cuts. We've had a minimum of $1.5 trillion every year he's been president, so that's nearly $5 trillion in Obama debt. And so the Republicans, somebody needed to be an adult. $6.2 trillion, I think, is a great budget start in cuts. What do you think?
Mm-hmm. Well, it is a scary time, you know, and I think the leaders in this country need the wisdom of Solomon, you know. I think we need to pray for him because, you know, it's a scary, scary time. So I think you would agree with me, Father.
Well, you know what? I think in the end, I think you're pointing to this.
Yeah.
We got a Democrat I'm neither Republican nor Democrat, but we have a Democrat agreeing. This is pretty good. I think this is, and I think you're pointing to this, this is a moral issue. It's a moral issue because real people are going to be affected in a very real way. And we're afraid to make decisions because they're painful in the moment when we know what the right thing to do is.
But then, Father,
and if you reject that,
liberals?
That's immoral.
But liberals say, well, it's immoral that we don't spread the wealth around. In other words, there are a lot of people that use
That's not
religion.
what liberals are saying.
Hang on a second. I'm talking to the father here. Do you mind? There are a lot of liberals that say we have a moral duty to give all of our income to the poor. Shouldn't that be by choice?
Hey, here's the point, I think. We always take good principles, right? Like help the poor, be the good Samaritan, and then we, unfortunately, absolutize them into a right. Therefore, we have the right to get all the money from the government. Therefore, we have the right to take the money from the rich. Therefore, we have the right, and that's the problem. We have to say a good principle is a good principle, but it doesn't mean that we can turn that into policy and absolutize that into a right.
Steve, will you at least concede this simple point, and then I'll let you make your point on the budget, that Barack Obama had an opportunity to reduce the deficit, to deal with entitlements, to make cuts, and he didn't do it. His budget, $3.7 trillion.
Still has an opportunity to do that, and
why didn't he
will.
do it in his budget?
Why didn't he do it in his budget? Because Congress has a say. Let them have their say.
The president.
Now,
why didn't he lead, though? Why didn't he say
the
this
president
is where
did
we're
lead?
No, he did not.
Appointed a commission which made recommendations, and those are much more sound recommendations than the Ryan budget.
Why didn't he listen?
Because the Ryan, maybe he will. Maybe he'll take that approach.
Maybe.
We have from now until April 29th.
$5 trillion in Obama debt. $5 trillion in Obama debt.
Did the negotiations work out on the tax cuts, extending the tax cuts?
He was forced
They worked
into
fine.
Kicking and screaming.
He took the same approach, and it was great for our economy.
Give him the
same chance
he's
now.
He's not a leader. He doesn't have a backbone. Father, if you're the president of the United States, you're going to wait for Congress to dictate your budget?
Well,
or
what did he promise us? He promised us that he was going to cut the debt in half at the end of his first term, right?
That's right.
We're not moving in that direction. And he has to explain why. Of course, the reason why we're absolutely sure he's not going to accept the Republican proposals right now because, number one, they're asking him to take money out of his health care. Number two, that they're asking him to defund Planned Parenthood. He is definitely unwilling to do both of those things. And I think it's revealing of priorities. And we have to stand up and ask for explanations.
All right, well, see, that's not budget cutting, though. That's just ideology. Budget cutting is one thing.
Some ideology, in other words, some ideas are actually good.
Right, we got to take a break. We'll come back and we'll find out who everybody on our panel thinks would be the best challenger to Barack Obama. Straight ahead. And we continue now with our Great American Panel. All right, so the question is, we're heading into 2012, and frankly, a later start than I would have expected in terms of people announcing that they're going to be running for president. We'll put up this new poll from New Hampshire, and it shows Donald Trump in second place. Look at this. Mitt Romney, 27%. Donald Trump, 21. Newt, 12. Mike Huckabee, 12 as well. What do you make of the poll?
Well, for me personally, I'm actually disappointed that Huckabee's not higher up because I love him.
Well, he's doing well.
He's a friend of mine.
In fairness, he's doing well in Iowa and South Carolina.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, he's awesome. And I think, for me, with those two guys, with Trump and Romney, I'm very passionately pro-life. I have a movie out, I support crisis pregnancy centers all the time in fundraising events. And so I want to see somebody in there that's supporting the values that I have and that I see a lot of middle America supporting. More than half of middle America, of America period, are pro-life. And I'm passionate about that.
Who's the person you'd fear the most?
First of all, you, Sean. First of all.
Why me?
First of all, because you're intellectually honest, which none of these other candidates are.
Yeah, you are.
First of all, Sean, here's what this poll made. Donald Trump at 21%. Donald Trump has about as much chance of being elected president as you do being the next leader of the Cuban Communist Party. So that's not going to happen. What does his 21%
Can I tell you why you're wrong?
Voters, Republican voters, are very dismissive of this poll. Excuse me, this field. They don't like the field of Republican candidates. It's a weak field, Sean. You want to talk about weakness? It's a real weak field.
You know why they like Donald Trump in New Hampshire? Because he is refreshingly...
He's not a politician.
He's not a politician. He's refreshingly open, honest, and iconoclastic.
I would
and he doesn't spread any
Sean.
germs.
The reason why he is 21% is because there's a strong birther movement in New Hampshire, and he's been coming out and saying President Obama doesn't have a birth certificate.
I don't think
which
it's
simply
just
it's a big part. That's what the polls are showing. The reason why Donald Trump, whom I like as a guy, and he's fun to watch, and I think he's a great economic leader, quite honestly. But the reason why he's not going to be president is a little bit to what Rebecca mentioned, is that he is not a conservative as America knows conservatism. He is a smart, conservative economic genius, we would say, but he is not going to stand up for conservative American values.
I will
He's not a
concede the point.
president.
I think, especially in the primary, he's going to have a tough time explaining his position on some social issues and donations that he's made to Democrats and so on and so forth. But the appeal is, I think it runs deeper than just the birther issue. It really is that he hits hard, he says what he means what he says. And I got to tell you something.
Good. That's nice.
People are
It's
sick
refreshing.
and tired of everybody, parsing their words.
You think the birther issue? You think that's a legitimate issue?
I think Barack Obama was born in the United States. I think the idea that it was in the newspaper is pretty compelling. I have one but and one caveat. It is odd to me. Just show the stupid birth certificate and move on. Do I think he was belong?
Do I think he was born in the U.S.? On his part to be raising it.
And
that is why.
No, I don't think so.
I think show it and get over it.
Show it and get over
Absolutely.
it. Yeah, I mean, it's stupid.
But can you imagine us respecting, as a president, somebody who is known for the phrase, "You're fired"? I mean, really.
Listen, I'd love him.
Can you imagine that?
Can you imagine
hard to believe. It's very hard to believe.
Yeah, I want to see Barack Obama fire. All right, well then, who else would you like to see?
No, absolutely.
Who else do you think would be the toughest candidate as a Democrat to take on Obama?
Let me just leave it this way. I think Mitt Romney will be the Republican nominee.
You do?
I do.
And do you think he's tough?
I don't think he'll beat Barack Obama.
I think he can.
Because Barack Obama's economic policies are working and the economy is picking up steam, and that's why he's going to get reelected.
Don't take this the wrong way, but you're smoking crack if you believe that. I mean, Steve, I love you, but this is ridiculous. See, you can't believe that.
Absolutely do. 200,000 jobs last month. We're going to have 3.5% economic growth this year and next year, and the unemployment rate, I believe, will be a full percentage point below what's projected.
Let me tell you something. His economic policies have been a disaster, as evidenced by the debt deficit. Father, who do you think would be the best candidate?
I never support a specific candidate over another candidate.
Who do you think would?
You know what? We need somebody in the mold of the honesty and the strong values, I would say, of Governor Chris Christie in New Jersey.
He's not pro-life.
He is pro-life.
I don't think.
We need someone like Ronald Reagan.
He's got a few issues that we got to work on.
Gay marriage.
He's got a few issues we got to work on.
Immigration.
But no doubt we need somebody who stands up and says, "I believe."
I like Christie. I'm just asking you.
Traditional American values based on the Bible.
All right.
And somebody who's willing to say, I'm going to make changes in our policy to make sure that we can survive
Rebecca's new CD, you want to get it in everywhere in your books coming out in April. It's all the time we have left. Greta's next, and we'll see you tomorrow night.